What is up? What is up? What is up? What is going on, everybody? Happy Sunday. Wanted to jump on and share a little bit. We got the challenge kicking off this week on there we go. I think we had some feedback with Instagram. I still had that page up, getting the key streamed in, but we have a couple things going on this week and wanted to jump on. I had some time this morning, got a little bug going around, and didn't make it to church this morning. So I'm like, wow, I got an extra 2.5 hours back what I'm going to do. And so definitely wanted to fill in this time and let people know that they still have time to sign up for the challenge that kicks off tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. With the roadmap to success, and something I'm really excited about with being able to walk people through a 5-day transformation to help them level up and create success in their life in 2024. So we are super excited about that. Some of the topics we're going to talk about, of course, real estate, specifically diving into the power of multifamily real estate. But then also we're going to talk about goal setting, how to set the right goals. We're going to talk about how to have a millionaire's mindset. What are some of those habits that other successful millionaires that are in my network that I'm connected with? What are the things that they're doing? What are some of the other people that we read about? What are they doing? How do they find success? And share some of those traits and help people actually put the roadmap together. We're going to talk about masterminds, networking, and mentorship. We're also going to talk about what does taking action look like. And at the end of the week, we're going to walk through and everybody's going to have that set roadmap for 2024 to define success for their life and have it now. All they have to do is just go, be held accountable, and execute and make course corrections along the way. So I'm super excited about that. So if you hadn't signed up yet, it's all going to be going down in the Facebook group. So you can sign in, you can watch the recording. If you're like 24 hours behind, you miss a night, jump in, knock out the homework, because this is going to be a challenge. You're going to have homework. There is going to be some commitment that needs to be done in order to get the full transformation. So I'm excited about that. For everyone that's actually signed up already, for the feedback I've already received with people just sharing their excitement, they're glad about it, because this is something I actually go through at the beginning of the year with my clients, but then also something that we're incorporating whenever our clients on board outside of just the beginning of the new year for my multifamily coaching clients in order to set their business goals. But in this week, we're actually going to talk about financial goals, real estate goals, relationship goals, and just overall goals that people need to set for their life. So I'm super excited about that. So make sure you tap in for that. Today, however, I'm going to be talking about the 7 foundational pillars of wealth. And what does that mean? One of the things that a lot of times we talk about and we really, really get infatuated with is wealth. Wealth. Everybody's talking about wealth. If you're watching live today in the chat, definitely drop where you're dialing in today from, where you're watching from. Just kind of see where people are at. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about this morning was just kind of go through this presentation. I put it together a while ago. One of the individuals that I follow, I would say a mentor by far, he's no longer living right now, but Dr. Miles Monroe. And like just going back and consuming his content and just reading his books and things that I've seen, it's like, wow, and the concepts that he presents from a biblical perspective as well too has really impacted my life in a way with how I approach the family, the business, and everything in between. All right, we got somebody in from Louisiana. Welcome. Make sure you guys share this out with anybody that you know that may be live on Facebook or whatever platform that you're watching. We're going to go through these 7 foundational pillars of wealth and just kind of walk through. But this is something that it stuck with me over the years and kind of going through. One thing that you will find out, we're talking about the 7 foundational pillars of wealth, and you won't hear me say the word money. And so that's kind of taboo to some people, that how can you talk about wealth and not talk about money? And it's one of the things that you see right now in society, that you have so many people that may have a lot of financial gain. They're well off financially, but they lack wealth in some of these other areas. They have financial wealth, they have monetary wealth, but they may not have wealth in some of these other areas. And you start to see that in their lives. Whereas that now they don't have that holistic approach to wealth, because you can have a lot of money, but you can still be poor in wealth. And so that's the things we're going to talk about, some of those different areas that build that foundation of wealth, because we know money is just an amplifier. It's going to amplify whoever you are. If you suck at relationships before you get money, you're probably going to suck at relationships when you have money. If you're a horrible person poor, then you're probably going to be a horrible person when you get money. And so that's the thing that we want to look at, is like, okay, what are those foundational habits, those foundational attributes of wealth that we all need in order to be rich in life? And so you must be rich in all 7 of these areas. I believe, when I ran across this concept in these different areas, you thought about it. And I look back at my own personal life. I was like, well, yeah, got there, need to bolster some areas here, being more active in some of these areas in order to get a well-rounded life. And so this is one of the things that I wanted to kind of kick off this week. This is more so for my clients, for the people that's coming in this week, that we're diving in to the success roadmap. And we're talking about success because we're going to be talking about how to build wealth from a financial standpoint, but we're going to be talking about a lot of other foundational things this week. And so I want to kind of kick this off as the foundation for everything that we're going to do in the challenge this week. So the first one goes without a shadow of a doubt for me, is the spiritual wealth, that it being number one, we all have to be rich towards God. And what does that mean? You got to have your spiritual life in order. For me, it's Jesus Christ, being a Christian, being a man of faith, and knowing that there's a higher power above me drives everything that I do, everything that how I move in between different situations, whether it's dealing with other businesses, dealing with other individuals. And the Bible says, what is the profit of man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? And so that's one that kind of sticks home, that always, kind of holds me accountable, is how am I showing up in the world? Am I being the type of person am I putting money over everything in my life? Am I still nurturing the relationships in my family, in my community, in my place of employment, in my business, with my employees that work for me, with my team? And how am I showing up there? And how am I continue to grow in this area? Because all these different areas, and wherever you are spending time in life, if it's important, you should be growing in those areas. You should be finding opportunities to continue to grow and not be the same individual that you were last year in 2023. We're starting off in a new year in 2024, and our goal should be to be better at the end of this year than how we started. And so one of the things that we do is we study. And so in this area, or this pillar of wealth, we study, for me, is studying the word, understanding, hey, iron sharpens iron. How do I get better at my trade craft? How do I become better spiritually? Is by immersing myself in the word and being able to study. And one of the things with me is just really focusing in on that relationship with God. For those that's in my community, I kind of share my morning routine. And one of those things is prayer. That, prayer and meditation, because I'm a true believer that, hey, you got to pray, but you also got to listen. And that meditation comes in on the listening part of it. And so building an authentic relationship with God is by far the number one pillar when we start talking about building wealth in life. Number 2, soulical wealth. How do you develop your soul? God gave you a brain to develop. For those that don't know, your brain is a muscle. I'm going to say that again. Your brain is a muscle. What happens to muscles if you don't train them? If you don't go to the gym, what happens to your biceps? If you skip leg day, what happens to your quads and your hamstrings and calves? That's right, they atrophy. They get smaller. They become less strong. And guess what? When you get weaker, you become susceptible to attack. Guess what? If you're not feeding your brain, if your brain isn't strong, if you're not strengthening your brain, guess what? Your brain is susceptible to attack. What can attack your brain? Anything that's not, for me, that's building you up. So if it's not positivity, it could be individuals that are toxic conversations, toxic content. It could be toxic words that you're reading, books that you're reading, whatever it is that you're pouring into your mind that it could be taking you the opposite direction of where you want to be in your life with being successful in your goals. So God gave us a brain to develop. Just like the hard drive, you go buy your MacBook, guess what? There's nothing on the hard drive. It's empty. When we come here on this earth, our brain is empty. When you look at an infant child, everything that they have to be taught. It has to be ingrained in them. And so that's one of the things that, we look at. A kid is a blank canvas, and it's beholden onto the parents to be able to bring them up the proper way, to give them that foundational knowledge that they need in order to live a successful life. And it's no different than right here with the soul. With being able to deposit the right information in our mind, it goes a long way with us building solical wealth. When God asked Solomon for whatever he wanted, he asked for solical wealth. He asked for wisdom. He wanted knowledge and understanding. He wanted to be able to be a wise ruler. He asked to govern God's people and be a righteous leader. What does that mean for you today? That I think one of the things that we focus on money, way too much. That there's some things that are priceless that we have access to that we just need to ask. We just need to seek it out. And so that's one of the things that we focus on, that being able to have your will, your emotions, your soul in a place where you can show up as a productive citizen of the world. And I think one of the things here, you can see the third sub bullet there, that it says you can get money, but you have to have the intelligence to invest it, the knowledge to multiply it, and the wisdom to build wealth with it. That's it. That, so many times we're saying we want to get this, but it's like, okay, what are you doing? What are you learning? How are you going to get there? Who are you serving? How are you going to show up and add value to other people's lives in order to command the money, or command the exchange of money for the value that you're providing this world? And so that's one of the things that we focus on, that we're building out that solical wealth. We're being able to amplify that pillar in order to build long-term overall wealth. Physical wealth. This is a big one for me. One that I focused on a lot in 2023. I had my goal. I ended up hitting 175 workouts. I joined a camp. I joined a group that allowed me to be accountable. Shout out to my wife, Melissa. She took the leap of faith to step first. And I saw the results that she was getting, the dedication that came with it, with aligning with the group. It's no different. When we in the military, we normally, PT, physical training, is one of the things that it builds camaraderie in the service. But I'll tell you, once you get up in rank and you kind of move into non-traditional organizations, where you're working with some other federal entities, things like that, where it's not as many military, you lose out on that camaraderie. And one of the things that always goes is PT. It's like, you go up, you show up for your annual PT test, and that's it. And you don't put your physical training uniform back on again to that time next year, unless you score low enough. Then you have to do your test again in 6 months. But other than that, it's beholden on you to show up, know what's required of you, and figure out how you're going to meet those requirements for that test whenever they show up 6 months. And so for me, it's like, okay, I can go in the gym and work by myself, but it's a lot funner to do it with a lot of people. So I aligned with the group. We joined Burn Boot Camp, and the rest was history. And it was phenomenal. But you need to be rich in physical health. 3 John 2 says, I wish above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. Like, too many times we focus in on materialistic stuff and, get money, no sleep. We're all in that, you want it as bad as you like to breathe. But a lot of times we neglect our bodies, that you see, heart disease, obesity. We're not taking time to go and work out. And I know it's hard. If you're working 2 jobs, the last thing that you're looking to do is trying to go find time to go get in the gym. Or, if you got, multiple kids, they got their own schedule. You're going here and there. If you're blessed to have a spouse, you're dividing and conquering to go to different events after school and Saturday with the sporting events, that it can be daunting. But you have to find time and make time to invest in your physical health. One of the stories that really speaks to me is, like, Steve Jobs was one of the richest people ever to walk the face of the earth. Great impact across the world. He gave us, Apple, worth hundreds of billions of dollars, but he passed away from pancreatic cancer. He had wealth in all these areas, but he didn't have physical wealth. And so that's one of the things that we have to do, that if your body is not in tip-top shape, then you're poor. You're poor in health. You're poor in wealth. It's hard to be able to go for an extended amount of time if you're not taking care of your body. So that's one of the areas that you must focus on in 2024 in order to be wealthy, is to have your health. And this is why I think the writer John said what he said, that above all things, to prosper in your soul and be in good health, because he recognized that being in good health is something. And I think through on other things that people say, that they always say, hey, it's blessed to wake up in your right mind. And until you see somebody or know somebody that's not in their right mind, or somebody who doesn't have their right mind, wow, you take those things for granted. So we all have a lot to be blessed about and appreciative of right now, just from being in health, being able to have our soul right, to focus in on those things that you can't put a price on. You can't put a price tag on these things. So one of the things that we focus on, and we tell people to focus on, is that, hey, you got to eat the right food, you got to exercise, you got to bring in the right things in your mind, the right books, the right videos, and you got to get sleep. That you can't neglect yourself. You got to be able, because guess what? You only get one shot at life. You only get one body. And if you screw it up, then it's going to be a long ride for the days that you do have left. Social wealth. We were not put on this earth to be lone rangers, to do it by ourselves. I know I was one of the biggest proponents of get it out the mud, solo entrepreneur. Can't nobody do it better than I do it. And I couldn't be anything more than wrong. And but that was an area of growth for me, with being able to understand that you have to be wealthy in friendships, relationships with your family, friends, and with other people in the environment. And if you don't have friendly people, or if you don't have people that you want to befriend in your environment, then change your environment. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about next week. We're going to dive in on this one big one day, where we talk about mastermind groups, relationships, and mentoring. Drop in the chat if you're part of any mentorships, mastermind groups. We literally, I was upstairs getting ready for this and just chit chatting with the wife, talking, and I'm like, hey, we trying to figure out, one of our mastermind groups, they have an event in Naples, Florida, February 4th through the 6th. I'm like, do I really want to go? Are we both gonna go? Am I gonna go? My birthday is February 4th. Shout out to the Aquarius. I'm like, it's one day. Is it worth it? All right, I gotta travel there on Sunday. Then we're gonna meet from 9 to 2. Then have dinner that night. Then you can stay Tuesday, play golf if you want to. And I'm like, the time commitment to get there, get back. And then she said, but then you tell me that the conversations and the networking was gonna be really good. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And so I think that's the big thing, that being in the right communities, the right environments, the right groups. And I'm a huge believer that you could be in one room, one conversation could change your life. Because I've had a couple different conversations that have pushed me into different trajectories that I would have never thought of. But you need to be wealthy in friendships. You need to be around the right people. Genesis 2:18 says, then the Lord God said, it's not good for man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. And so that's the thing that we got to realize, is figure out who you need to be around. That you shouldn't be isolated, because guess what? When you're isolated, you're vulnerable, but if it's 2 or 3 together, there's power, and that's what the Lord said. He said, with 2 or 3 gather in my name, he'll be in the midst. And so you need that person, that wingman, we call it in the Air Force, that always has your back. You never want to be out there a lone ranger, whereas that you're kind of just fending for yourself. You're trying to figure it out for yourself. You need to have that community around. You need to have that group of friends or brothers that you can lean on when you get into different situations, that you can call. Because I'm a true believer that iron sharpens iron. You are poor as the friends you keep. You need, hey, I tell people all the time, we talk about this, your network is your net worth. And so you need to make sure you're around people that are doing things that you want to do, or maybe already achieve things that you want to achieve in order to be successful. One of the things that speaks to me with the social web, your relationship with your spouse, that if your marriage isn't healthy, you need to focus on it. You're poor. You're not wealthy. You're poor if you haven't bolstered those relationships. You haven't refined those relationships. So that's something that you need to work on this year. Continue, as I shared, like my top 10 goals last week, that number 1 was, hey, 2 date nights a month with the wife, because that's the most important thing right now, is fostering that relationship and keeping it at the top of the list. And then you think about it, then it was like 175 workouts. Then it was 4 family trips this year. Then it got to, hey, refinancing my Alabama multifamily portfolio. And then just started going through helping 1,000 people find success, with the stepping out with the challenge next week. It's kind of getting us toward that goal. If your marriage isn't healthy, then you're poor. Then you're looking for ways that you can improve social wealth, join groups, align with like-minded individuals. Almost goes without saying, but we're going to talk about some of the different mastermind groups. I'm going to share stories and how it improved my life being parts of certain groups. We're going to have other people that share just the impact that they've had by just aligning with like-minded people when they hadn't always had the opportunity, or they hadn't always had it at top of mind or an emphasis to be able to align with other people. One of the big things that I always tell people is like, you don't always need money. It's not always about the resources, but how about you become resourceful and not focus on the lack, but focus on what you do have and how you can leverage that to benefit someone else. And so I think the big one for me is thinking about Joseph and the journey of Joseph being sold into slavery by his family, then being falsely accused, thrown in jail. And he had to develop relationships in order to change his life. I don't think he necessarily knew ahead of time that, the impact him establishing relationships while he was in jail. But do you have the right friends? And I think that's the thing that you need to realize, that being able to have the right relationships and to align people, let other people know what your goals are, let other people know how they can help you, how they can serve you, will only get you to where you want to be in life a whole lot faster. And so one of the things with Joseph in that story, you can go check out in Genesis, I think it's chapters 37 through 50. But when he was in prison, he befriended two individuals that were in there with him, and he interpreted their dreams. And so when they got out, they didn't forget about him. That when they went in and Pharaoh asked, hey, he had these dreams and who in the kingdom could tell him what it was, they thought about it like, hey, I know a guy who was really cool. Let me go call Joseph, get him out, and he can come. And next thing you know, it brought him up to being the prime minister, from just being able to add value and having the right friends and relationships. Because it's not always about who you know, it's all about who knows you. A lot of times, because I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people I didn't necessarily know that reached out to me because they knew of me. One thing for thought is, do you know the wrong people right now? Do you need to know more of the right people? If so, you need to make that happen. You need to make that one of your goals this year as you move forward. Influential wealth. I really like this one with being influential. Impact. I think there's not a better time in history for those that of the sound mind, that have the ability and that have the knowledge and the truth in order to influence and have an impact than any other time in history. I think there's right now that there's a lot of time there's a void of the truth. And you got to be wealthy in the capacity to change the world. That we all look at what's going on, we complain about what's going on, but like, how can we be the change? How can we impact the area of our influence? Because we all have influence. That whether even if it's just your family, your immediate family, but the extension of your family, you have influence. You should have influence. You should want to have influence, because it puts the onus on you to show yourself approved, to be one that, hey, I'm working on my trade craft where I can be someone, to be a leader that other people should follow, to kind of always have you, not to have that monkey on your back, but you want to be the best leader that you can be. And so that's the thing that you understand, that you got to understand the confidence that you need to have with being able to be someone of value, because you're showing yourself approved. You're doing the professional development. You're pouring into yourself, and then in return, you're able to pour and impact you're pouring into other people and impact their lives. Family, community, and church are some of the three areas that came to mind for his influence. But there's countless of organizations out here that you can influence, and there's different levels to it. And so look around and see, hey, where are you able to influence in a positive way? And the big thing goes back to your name. And John 14:13, John says, whatever you ask in my name, that I would do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. He said, use his name. And, and that's the thing that I think through is like your name, the power of your name. A lot of times when I talk about in real estate, it's like you go out and mow your lawn because guess what? Your name's on the mailbox, because it's a representation of you. And so he didn't say go to the Father with your own personal name. He said go with my name, because his name meant something. His name means something. And it's the same thing with us. Our name means something. And the thing is, it's like, okay, how do you become the best CEO of your last name? How do you go through and make your name good? And how do you go in and use it for positive influence, for positive change? It's the same thing, like with my t-shirt, with my brand. The military CEO is a name. It's a brand name now. And it means something to me when they say the military CEO. Is like, hey, it stands on my ability, you know, my service as a veteran, but then also my journey as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and being successful in that space towards being the military CEO and letting people know that, hey, you can be active duty military and still run successful companies and build wealth while you're doing it at the same time. And so that's kind of where that brand came from, but it's the name. And so is your name good? And if your name isn't good, what do you need to do in order to make your name good and continue to grow your name and move forward? So that's influential wealth. Community wealth, a little bit kind of like social wealth, this the social wealth, but it's more focused outward on externals, maybe people that you don't know. With the community wealth, that you're looking to try to improve the lives of others. If you can give other people what they want, then guess what? You'll develop wealth in the community. If you're able to solve other people's problems, you will become wealthy. You think about it, the iPhone, just it solved problems. People want to be connected. The iPod, people want to have, it gave access to thousands of songs in your pocket. Think about it, your house, it gives you shelter. The impact of it. You think about your car, it gets you from A to B. And then if you get a really nice car, it gets you there in a little bit of luxury. But the thing is that you had that community wealth. It comes from ideas and being able to solve problems. But the big thing is that when you start talking about the impact and impacting other people's lives, that going to different people's funerals, and you read the obituary, they're like, they don't talk about how much money you left behind, or how much money that you had, and how much you paid for your house, how big your real estate portfolio was. They talk about the impact that you have. That it's not about what you saved, it's about what you gave when you're here on earth. And so that's everything that the community wealth goes into, is like, what are you giving back? How are you pouring back into the lives of others? How are you helping change other people's lives? And your obituary is your community wealth that you gave. And so if you weren't one that was impacting people, then you'll know it. There won't be a lot of people standing up saying, yeah, this person did this for me, that person did that for me. My life wouldn't have been the same if this person hadn't poured into me and impacted me. And so that's the biggest thing that you do. What are you doing to leave your mark on this earth? Is your community wealth and giving that impact. And then the last one is generational wealth, focusing on becoming wealthy in generations. The Bible says in Proverbs 3 and 22, a good person leaves an inheritance to his children's children, but the sinner's wealth is laid up for the righteous. You're wealthy if your grandchildren are benefiting from the actions that you're taking right now. That was one that my mom was huge on. She was all about her grandkids, her grandkids, her grandkids. She had wrote letters to her grandkids even before they were born, just to let them know the impact that she wanted to have on their life. And she set the framework for that with the insurance policies, the things that she did for them to set up for them long term, the handed down land to them. That's a whole nother one in itself. And but that's the thing that you got to do. You got to be able to look further. You can't just be a consumer and focus in on everything that you're producing right now, that you're consuming it all, that you're looking forward to being able to hand it off to the next generation. That's the same thing now. And I tell people, it's like, hey, the decisions that I'm making now, I'm impacting my kids' kids. And my kids, they're nowhere near the age that they're going to be having grandkids. But that's the decisions that I'm making. That's the goals that I have and the vision that I have, that, hey, how do I make this decision? I'm looking like, hey, okay, how does this look 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road? Okay, is it still a good decision? And that's what it's all about, inheritance. Because I tell people all the time, if you're not buying assets, then you're going to always be someone else's asset. I'll say that again. If you're not buying and owning assets, then you're always going to be someone else's asset. And guess what? And if you don't know if you're someone else's asset, then you probably are. I can tell you right now that you are. And, whether it's just a W-2 job, hey, I'm an asset of the U.S. Air Force. But guess what? The U.S. Air Force, they pour into me just as much as I pour into them. And so with the leadership, the responsibility, the experiences that I take, guess what? I translate that over into business, into my investment company, into my coaching company, being able to impact other people's lives through that. And so that's the thing that you got to realize is like, okay, you got to have a strategy and plan for your life and understand how am I adding assets to everything that I'm doing? How can I become a better asset? Because it's not the work. I always tell people, like, everybody doesn't need to be an entrepreneur, but you need to have the right job. You understand where you are in your job and understand how it aligns to your long-term goals. Or is there other things that you could be doing in conjunction with that, in order to get to your goal? I know a couple of people that's working like 2 or 3 remote jobs because, hey, I can work 2 or 3 jobs, make 500,000-600,000 for 2 or 3 years doing this, and it's gonna get me to where I want to be long term. In 5 years, I'm gonna be financially free because I'm gonna buy more assets with all that disposable income I'm creating, and it's gonna create enough passive income where I don't have to go work multiple jobs. I can work part-time, and I can work from around the world remotely. And so that's the thing you got to figure out. You got to have a plan at the end of the day to build generational wealth. And you want to leave the next generation with assets and not liabilities at the end of the day. Are you ready for wealth? So we talked about the 7 pillars of wealth. No, we didn't really talk about money a whole lot because it's really immaterial. It's not even in the ballpark when you start talking about what true wealth is. With the money. Money is just it's a tool, it's a currency that flows. That, guess what? If you're high energy and you're producing value, money's gonna flow to you. It's without a shadow of doubt, it's gonna flow to you. And you're gonna scratch your head a lot of times, like, how did this even happen? But it's because the frequency you're operating on, it's the energy that you're putting out there. And guess what? It's gonna retract and come back right back to you. And so that's what it's all about. And that's why I'm a true believer in aligning with the right people, being in the right rooms, being in the proximity of other like-minded people, because there's an abundance of wealth out here for each and every one of us. There is no scarcity. The only thing that you lack is ideas to create the wealth that you need for your life. And so that's one of the things we're going to go in on next week. I'll take a couple questions. I see we got a couple comments in chat. All right. Somebody said they're going to be part of my mentorship this year. Hey, that's it. Let's go. Let's go be one of the 1,000 because we're truly changing lives. We're going to be building out things, helping people with their business, helping people with their relationships, helping people with their portfolios, with buying assets, procuring assets. And that's what it's all about, because it's too many issues out here for us to just sit back in silence. That we look at all the challenges out here, but we too many times we focus on the problems and not solutions. And so I want to be the solution, and align with those that are ready to level up, to change their environment, that's looking to build wealth, and looking to change their lives. That we're going to be right here for. We're going to have the resources, the same things that I've seen invested in, the 3 or 4 mastermind groups that I'm in. What are those traits of successful millionaires that's in some of these groups that I talk to, the other people in my network, the conversations that I'm having, that I want to be able to give back to more people and help other people realize that everybody else out here, we're no smarter than you. We're no better than you, that we just got information and we got habits and we got traits that lend themselves to success, that always over time, that are tried and true, that always lend themselves to success. We're setting great habits. We're having positive mindset. We don't always have positive mindset. We get down in the dumps, but guess what? We have great people around us that hold us up, that hold us accountable. Whereas that we know that we can get to where we need to be. And that, guess what? If it's not working for us, it's working on us. And we are the person that can achieve, and we're worthy of success. And so that's the things that we're going to be focusing on this week. We're going to talk about the mastermind groups. We're going to talk about what does taking action look like. We're going to set goals this week. We're going to talk about what it is that we need to do in regards to having a positive environment, because a lot of people don't grow up in a positive environment. Nobody was really talking about investing in the house when I was growing up, which was okay. I got it eventually, but now we know, and I talk about it in my book, Millionaire Real Estate Success Strategies, what they forgot to teach you in school. For those that show up, actually, you'll get a copy of the PDF version of it, so you can save $15 from going on Amazon and buying it. But the subtitle, what they forgot to teach you in school, is because I had a 5-year degree from Alabama, electrical engineering, and I didn't know anything about credit. I didn't know about investing in stocks and bonds. I didn't know about real estate and all those things. And when I got there, I'm like, man, there's so much I don't know. It's like, you fight so hard to get through college, and you take a breath, like I'm done with school. But then you get out here and you realize, like, man, they didn't teach me half of what I know. It's like I don't use calculus, I don't use trigonometry, I don't use geometry to buy real estate, to put a roof over my family's head, to lower to get my credit score right, to lower my interest rate. They don't teach you all this stuff that you need to survive, and it's unfortunate, but we're gonna do our job, and that's what my vision is, and that's what the goal of REI Genius, that we're pouring in other people and invest in other people's lives that are ready to go. If you're ready to align with us, we welcome you. Make sure you're getting a challenge this week. The links have been going at the bottom there, and reach out to us. We'll add you to the Facebook group. We're gonna have some nightly homework for participation in there, and I'm really looking forward to the impact that we're gonna have in other people's lives. People that's serious. They've reached the point they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They know it's a better way. They want to improve their relationships. They want to improve their income. They want to improve their health. They want to improve the environments that they're around. That they want to get. They're sick and tired of just trying to be entertained, and they want to get the real, unadulterated truth and information that they need to change their lives. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going down that journey together this week. I encourage you guys to come along with us. And throughout this whole year, also we're going to be working with my guy Gene Boykin, the Go Getter family. We're going to be in Houston, Texas, February 22nd through the 25th. We'll be talking multifamily, raising private money. So you all are in the Houston area, would love to see you come out for that 4-day transformational event, and it's going to be a really good blessing. Then we're going to be in Birmingham, March 19th. With the Denmarks. We're going to be talking real estate at their meetup there that Tuesday, March 19th. So I'm excited about that. And a couple other things in the works for February. We'll see here this week. As those things kind of mature, we'll keep you abreast of all those changes. But 2024 is going to be all the way up. I said it's going to be the year of the Mamba. Shout out to Kobe Bryant with the Mamba mentality. But we're going to be helping other people and pouring in other people and helping them become the best versions of themselves. Anybody got any questions? We had one viewer that said they're part of a few different mentoring groups. All right, somebody said Mike Jones in the building. Sound mind, sound judgment. Yeah. So I got a few more minutes. Anybody got any questions? Any questions, comments? All 2024, Controller said yes. All 2024, Mamba mentality for sure. Make sure y'all share it if you know anybody that needs to be in the challenge. For all the people out there, for organizations, if you're looking for a speaker to kind of talk about financial literacy, building success, mentorship, STEM, any of those things, let me know. Would love to come out and bless your organizations. Maybe do a couple-hour workshops or just come out and deliver a speech. Reach out to me. Would love to do that, especially at the collegiate level. That's something that we really have a strong thrust on this year, aligning with the right organizations to do that. So we're getting out and about. So if you're a decision maker or know a decision maker in that space, would love to have a conversation to get out and talk to your audience and bless your audience and share, because this concept of how to build wealth, the strategies to build wealth, everybody needs this information. We're working on getting it out there, and we're not just getting the information out there. We're giving it out there in a way where it's actionable, where you can take this in your life and actually execute. Because a lot of times people give you information, you don't have any context to apply to your own life, and you're left stuck. And that's the last place that we want people to be. So we're super excited about this. Shoot me a message, get the link. Don't miss out on the challenge. I don't know when we're going to do the next one. I'm still on the fence. I think it's going to probably be something we do quarterly, but we're going to roll in. We're going to focus in on everybody that comes in after the challenge with the community that's looking to align with the mastermind group, and we're going to tear it up. And so I'm super excited. Y'all be blessed this Sunday. Spend some time with family and write down your goals and get ready for the challenge next week, because it's going to be lit, and share it with somebody. Y'all be blessed. Until next time.